everyone. Welcome to the Tea with Daz podcast. I have an amazing guest today. I have known Joan for a long time. I'm sure a lot of you guys know her out there. She is a famous uh, environmental artist and a community activist. And it's really such a pleasure to have Joan here with me. Joan has been in my life for a long time. And she was in my life when I was going through a hard time um, some years ago. And she was super supportive then. And she's just always been a cheerleader. And I really appreciate her. And she's like that for the whole community. So we're all really lucky to have Joan. Um,
Oh,
so yeah. So I'm gonna start by reading you Joan's bio, very accomplished person. You'll see in a moment. So Joan Baron is an environmental artist, educator, and innovative community activist. After receiving a BFA from Washington University in St. Louis and an MFA from the Chicago Art Institute, she established a gallery space in Chicago to promote established and emerging artists. She continues to curate at the Edible Landscape Project in South Scottsdale. Joan co-produced Dinner 2040 in collaboration with the Institute of Humanities Research at ASU. The mixed media installation performance piece, Good Trouble Bucket, received the Environmental Excellence Award, the Criscordia, for the public art from Arizona Forward. That's amazing. Um, this collaboration with Gloria Martinez Granados was featured on PBS Art in the 48. As artist in the lab, Joan facilitated a multi-level student course within the School of Sustainability. Emerge Innovative Futures Festival was presented by ASU and Leonardo, the International Society for the Arts, Society, and Technology. Joan maintains a full-time studio practice exploring environmental issues and her role as an art activist and social practitioner. She believes planetary health requires a strong collective response. So you can see that Joan is a powerhouse of a person, just from her bio, but you'll see it more as we talk. So welcome, Joan.
thank you, Taz. It's great to be here with you.
Yeah, it's so great to be with you. You've done a lot of stuff, Joan.
Yes, I have. Yeah, I guess I'm always looking for the next adventure and the next challenge, and so many things and materials are intriguing to me. So I I tend to go down many paths
Mm-hmm,
in that way.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So Yeah,
Yeah.
it's been wonderful. I've been in Arizona now since 1980. I moved from Chicago.
Uh-huh.
So, uh,
Wow. So you've
I
been
knew I
here.
was gonna move here too. I knew it. I knew I would be ready for this environment
Uh-huh.
after I got, um, my adventures living the city life.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Chicago was and still is a fantastic city,
mm-hmm.
and I loved it and was ready to go when the weather told me it was time to go.
Yeah.
It
It's
was
pretty
tough.
brutal. Yeah.
Yeah, it's getting harder to deal with that wind chill factor of below 40 degrees
I
any
can't
longer.
imagine.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
so
So 1980, that's what, 45 years
yeah,
that you've been
yeah,
here. And you've
yeah.
done a lot since then. Um,
I have. Fell in love when I was very young, coming out with my family here. I fell in
mhm,
love with the desert environment, and
mhm,
Um, when I studied Thich Nhat Hanh's work, I realized part of it was because he spoke so beautifully about the stability that the mountains provide. Um, and when you look around, no
mhm,
matter where you are, you see mountains, and they provide this um, energetic and spiritual stability for us here.
mhm, mhm.
And
Yeah, I never thought of
really,
it that way.
yeah.
Mhm,
Um,
mhm.
Stable mountain.
Yeah, that's good
were his
to,
words. Yes.
that makes sense. Yeah. You,
So
so Joan, you're an environmental artist.
mm,
What does that mean? What is an environmental artist?
I think the reason that I became comfortable with that description
Mm-hmm.
was that I was responding to everything in my environment. And out here, in addition to the mountains, it was the land
Mm-hmm.
and learning about the history of the land.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that, and then our role
Mm-hmm.
here as stewards to become better stewards of the land. All of those things uh, kind of rolled into this description for me. I felt I needed something that specified a little more, and it also spoke to me. I think about material,
Mm-hmm.
environmental for me meant materials, and so using the earth
Mm-hmm.
as my main material became a very, I think, a connection for me and where that title, if you will, came from. So working with earth materials has really been my focus for all of these years. And
Mm-hmm.
it started way back, when I was growing up in the Midwest. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I would just make every chance I could get to go to the art room and, you know, work on the
Mm-hmm.
potter's wheel and
Mm-hmm.
do
Mm-hmm.
things with clay. So I was really
Mm-hmm.
drawn to the earth materials from an early age. And my mom was a fabulous gardener. So
Mm-hmm.
I would be out in the gardens with her,
Mm-hmm.
getting my hands in the dirt and, experiencing the joy of that and the connection and the calming and healing effect it had for her and for me. Um, so
Yeah, for
that's where the
sure.
journey began.
Yeah. Well, that term, it does really resonate, and I think it makes sense based on your work. I mean, really, you really are an environmental artist. Um, and I think the thing that intrigues me as an architect is that a lot of your work is really just goes hand in hand with um, what we do as architects, like the built environment that we live in. It's just, I think there's just so much overlap with what you do, the way you think, and, our built environment and architectural design. So I
Mhm.
think that's like a really cool sort of, I think more so than a lot of other artists I know, I feel like you're really overlap well, or yeah, in the way you
Yeah,
do.
we definitely
Mhm.
uh, respond to materials and the history of materials in a similar way. So
Mhm. Mhm.
when it came to my first exposure to working with adobe
Mhm.
and then learning about the rammed earth technique as a
Mhm.
way to build with earth, with dirt,
Mhm. Mhm.
and that what was that actual composition of soil, that there is clay in the earth. And
Mm.
so the idea of all of that just got me so excited. And so I started learning how to work with Adobe, uh, making bricks and doing building structures and sculptural pieces. And the most recent one has been really exciting because it is with the program at ASU,
Mm.
humanities program, and it's an elective semester where
Mhm.
the students come from all different disciplines to um, explore ideas around um, environmental justice and um, how what their role might be.
Mm.
So they have a few groups that they've divided into, and they're deep diving into these ideas of um, how do we come more involved in our communities? How do we build community and help community thrive through planting together, through teaching about our relationship to Mother Earth?
Mm-hmm.
And I emphasize to them, remember that it's Mother Earth, and
Mm-hmm.
there's a significant reason,
Mm-hmm.
because the earth is very nurturing and
Mm-hmm.
very wanting for us to engage and
Mm-hmm.
see that interconnection. So it's been a real thrill that I was invited to teach the students how to make adobe brick and then build a sculpture. And even more exciting that it's in collaboration with the newly formed ASU Farm
Mm-hmm.
initiative and
Oh,
curriculum
hmm.
with Maya Daly at
Oh,
her
nice.
farm in Phoenix. So it's called ASU Farm
Mm-hmm.
at Maya's farm.
Mm.
And
That's
that's where
really
we
cool.
built the sculpture. And
Oh,
the idea
great.
of the sculpture, which ties into uh, ways of creatively building community, is um, I provided the students with a wide variety of seeds,
Mm-hmm.
and we mixed the seeds into the adobe mix in the wheelbarrow.
Hmm.
And as we formed the bricks, then the seeds were embedded naturally into each and every brick. And so the idea of
Huh.
the sculpture
Huh.
is that uh, it is ephemeral in that it will gradually break down over time, with the idea being the seeds will find a connection to Mother Earth and grow.
Mm. I love that. That's amazing.
So yeah, so we have pictures of the construction and the building of the sculpture. We will have pictures of it slowly disintegrating and returning uh, to its rightful place
Mm-hmm.
um,
Mm-hmm.
on the land.
Mm-hmm.
And the students are working now collaboratively on the title, so that when people drive by, because the sculpture is right out along the road
Mm-hmm.
within the property, but you will see it as you drive by or walk by.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
that part is really, really interesting and exciting.
Super exciting, Joan.
Yeah,
That's so
yeah,
cool. I love the idea of how, as it erodes, it will become part of the land. And then not only that, it will have this renewal with the seeds. Like the cycle of life is like embedded in this sculpture, which is like so inspiring.
exactly, exactly. And I think the students really found, we talked about it because that was my role in their lives, um, was to give them this opportunity to experience getting their hands in the earth and getting dirty and moving the earth around and forming something, right? So
Mm-hmm.
there's that architecture of,
Mm-hmm.
right,
Mm-hmm.
of the form.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and they just connected them. They got it. They felt it. They were they felt the calm. They felt the a real experience outside of. That's another important point, is that we were outside an enclosed classroom.
Mm-hmm.
And although we need those spaces sometimes, we also really want to balance our lives
Mm-hmm.
and get out in the natural environment, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which these days, I mean, in modern life, normally we're just inside.
Mhm,
It's very
mm,
hard to like actually be outside and do stuff. So
sure, sure.
yeah,
And
that's
I
great.
think the other recent experience that you were a
Mm-hmm.
participant of was the building of an adobe Orno oven
Mm-hmm.
at my studio, home
Mm-hmm.
studio. And this was also a community driven um, experience.
Mm-hmm.
And the idea of building the Orno oven uh, has been on my bucket list for a while.
Mhm.
What really pushed me to do it, to
Mhm.
finally move forward,
Mhm.
was when I experienced on the news that the women, the mothers in Gaza,
Mhm.
were not able to find bread, to go buy bread because all the bakeries had closed because there was no material, no flour being brought in, no
Mhm.
fuel being brought in. The basic ingredients to make the most basic
Mhm.
food for survival, which
Yeah.
is bread.
Mhm.
You know,
Mhm.
we have the expression breaking bread together. Every religion, every culture, we gather around the table and we break bread. Bread is always a significant part of that experience, right?
Mhm.
And that just upset me so much. I said, okay, that's it.
Mhm.
That's the final straw for me.
Mhm.
I want to build as an act of resistance an Orno oven sy- that will symbolize the renewal and that we are not going to allow this behavior to
Mhm.
continue.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
by building an oven, and then we have since
Mhm.
baked many loaves of bread in the oven,
Mhm.
uh, and to the idea of promoting other people to build Orno ovens and to actually have the experience of making the bricks in a communal fashion, like you got a
Mhm.
chance to join
Mhm.
us.
Mhm. Yeah, that was super
Pretty
fun.
special. It's
It
pretty
was
special.
special. It was
Yeah,
very special. And like you said, I mean, normally, well, we were outside and we got our
we were
hands
outside.
dirty. Not only
Yep,
our hands, but our entire arms were
yep,
were like
that's
caked
right.
in mud. And it was super fun and just touching that soil and like the
Mhm.
clay. Um,
And even understanding the basic materials to,
yes.
you know, bread, making bread is involves very basic
Mm-hmm.
materials, but
Mm-hmm.
so does making an adobe brick.
Yeah.
It's the earth,
Mm-hmm.
uh, dirt, soil, whatever you want to call it, um,
Mm-hmm.
mixed with
Mm-hmm.
some form of binder, which in our case, and in most cases, is straw.
Mm-hmm.
But it also could be used, you know, hemp. Um, Uh, but straw is such a brilliant
Mm-hmm.
material and easily affordable and easily attainable.
Mm-hmm.
And uh, you know, cut that up and you mix it in to your um, earth with water until you get that beautiful consistency. Form it into our template, right? Our Adobe brick template, and
Mm-hmm.
uh, you're able to release it immediately from the form and then move on to continue building. And then when we were actually building the oven, you were also experiencing the use of making a mortar out of
Mm-hmm.
the same material
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and
Right.
stacking those bricks and staggering the bricks for structural
Mm-hmm.
support
Mm-hmm.
and measuring it and doing
Mm-hmm.
everything that architects do, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um,
It was really special.
the scale had to be right, and
Mm-hmm.
uh,
Mm-hmm.
the
Yeah.
dimensions had to be thoughtful,
Mm-hmm.
and in order for the opening to be the size that we
Mm-hmm.
wanted it to be big enough that more than one loaf of bread could be placed into the interior of the oven at
Mm-hmm.
the same time. And at the back is where you put the wood.
Mm-hmm. I see.
Um, yeah.
Yeah.
And this Orno oven required no chimney. Some
Oh.
people will build
Uh-huh.
with a chimney, but
Uh-huh.
what was beautiful about it is that the flame rolls
Huh.
because it's a dome.
Uh-huh.
It rolls
Huh.
and creates that circular motion that
Ah, like a
holds the heat.
convection. Uh-huh.
Correct. Yes.
Neat.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, that's so cool. Like
Mhm.
I definitely see a pattern between what you were saying with like Mother Earth and how the earth is nurturing and nourishing, and then this idea of the Orno oven made from adobe bricks, which is really the earth once again nurturing us
Mhm.
and um, making bread, and like the mothers who couldn't find the bread. Just all of it really makes a lot of sense.
Mhm.
And it is, I think, it is an act of resistance and an act of like countering sort of the destruction that was happening, that is probably still happening, but countering it with something positive and
Right.
something, it was something that is giving and nourishing to people and building and loving.
Mhm.
So, yeah, I really like that. It makes a lot of sense. Um, So, this is a podcast about the built environment, and I wanted to ask you because as I said before, I think you have so much overlap with you know, the designers of the built environment, and what you do brings a special perspective to it. I think that is really essential. So, can you tell us about how your work as an environmental artist intersects with the built environment?
Well, I think the first thing that comes to mind is the whole history of working and building
Mhm.
and designing with earth materials. Um, you know, architects from throughout time have been drawn to working with earth materials in their architectural practices, and we can find churches every everywhere from in Paris, France, to South Carolina, to right up
Mhm.
into Canada. Uh, we find adobe structures all over New Mexico.
Mhm.
The Pueblo Indians making not only adobe homes, but um, the adobe ovens.
Mhm. Mhm.
So uh, I think that my interest in working with clay, earth materials, making tile, that there's a structural component to it that speaks really, I think, beautifully to ideas of architecture, and the fact that rammed earth, which is a technique of right architectural building, has
Mhm.
been with us for over 10,000 years,
Mhm.
even longer when you think of the Great Wall of China, or you think of uh, the right the structures
Yeah.
in Africa,
Mhm.
in Iraq.
Mhm.
You know, it's just
Mhm.
some of the most beautiful designs uh, have been built out of earth materials, and uh, we're still inventing ways to use it.
Mhm.
Um, you know, the most obvious would be using the 3D
Mhm.
machines now,
That's
where,
amazing.
isn't it? You program
Yeah.
it, and it's
Uh-huh.
got the wet uh, earth, right? The
Mhm.
clay, the dirt mix,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
it's just following the pattern, and it just stacks those rolls one
Mhm.
right after the other until you have a home,
Mhm.
and then that means we can really look at addressing um, the housing issue in a whole new way.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah.
How can we be more efficient with our building?
Mhm.
Uh, so I think we've come a long way, and I
Mhm.
think that what makes me really happy is that I do feel that there is a renewed interest in building with earth materials, which really makes me happy because it's a natural way to live. You know,
Mhm.
you're
Mhm.
that much closer to the earth when you're living in an earth house. And, you know, every wall doesn't have to be an earth wall.
Mhm.
If you
Mhm.
consider your south and west being your most important walls in terms of heat um, resilience
Mhm.
in the to hold out the heat in the summer, but to keep you warm in the winter. There's nothing better than a rammed earth wall, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
It's just so intelligent,
Mhm.
and you know you begin to ask you know naturally ask the question. I think, well, why did we stop doing it? And I think just like many things, um, the Industrial Revolution comes along, and we think we know better ways of building, and uh, perhaps we think it's more cost effective, but we lose something really important in in that trade off,
Mhm.
and a lot of that has to do with, again, back to building community and that
Mhm.
communal effort of, you know, the barn raising stories that, you know, we
Mhm.
all love to see videos about. Well, there's a reason. It
Mhm.
warms our heart and we want to be part of it, right?
Mhm.
Because
Mhm.
we want to build community. And so I
Mhm.
think we're seeing a renewed interest in it, and a willingness for people to put the time in to do it. And the willingness to put the labor and the hard work in, because once you've built your dwelling,
Mhm.
you know you haven't had to um, take out a mortgage to
Mhm.
buy something, right, that
Mhm.
costs $500,000. You maybe invested 20,000 in materials, and the
Mhm.
rest was labor. And so now
Right.
you're living in a beautiful space that is, you don't owe money to anybody.
Mhm. Mhm.
And
Yeah.
I think young people are really
Mhm.
latching on to the beauty of that. Um,
Mhm. Yeah.
so
Yeah,
uh,
that's really cool.
I'm really appreciative of however you want to look at it. Um,
Mhm. Mhm.
Getting back in touch with a connection to the natural environment is going to, we're going to benefit health, the wellness, um, uh, uh, the beauty of the material itself, I
Mhm.
think, is
Mhm.
um, probably the most valuable component of this whole thing. And I think working with clay
Mhm.
for as many years as I have, and being able to bring those experiences out into community, um, and involving community working with me has
Mhm.
also been, I think, a significant contribution to the built environment, because
Mhm. Mhm.
that's the role of art, is
Mm.
to, right, enhance,
Mhm.
engage with the neighbors and the community that that structure is going to be built.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
and we do that through color, we do it through texture, we do it through our storytelling. Um, when I think about all the uh, public art projects I've worked on through the Marianne Corder Neighborhood Grant program that the city of Tempe has
Mhm.
initiated over the years, every project that I've done, each community, um, you know, they they get to join with me. They come to my
Mhm.
studio. I set up workshops in their neighborhood, and we make elements that go into
Mhm.
the sculpture together. And
Mhm. Mhm.
uh, it's also helps to build that sense of place that we as artists and architects talk a lot about.
Mhm.
It's extremely important concept, and um, I think that the uh, blending of art and architecture really fulfills that need for people to have a sense of I live here.
Mhm.
I This is my place,
Mhm.
and it's a place where we gather, and we have a garden over at this other corner, and we come together, and um, we we grow food together, and uh, we make the art elements together in the neighborhood park, or
Mm.
right at the
Right.
library or at the schools. I love working uh, similarly with school children, um,
Mhm.
for the same reason. They're
Mm.
getting a chance that the little elements that they make end up going into a much larger structure. Um, and they
Mhm.
get to find the pieces that they made within that structure. And it brings such joy. I mean,
Mhm. Mhm.
uh,
Mhm.
to them and their families and
Mhm.
their friends. They get all
Mhm.
excited. I mean, there's nothing better than
Mhm.
that. And the same goes for the murals that I've done over the years, the
Mhm.
painted murals. Um, um, Many of which I will still interject some element of either mosaic tile or storyboard tiles.
Mhm.
Photographic tiles was one really
Wow.
terrific project that I
Mhm.
did. One of the residents in the neighborhood was a photographer,
Mhm.
and we talked about incorporating her skill, and we decided let's do a sign up list, and
Mhm.
people would sign up, and we would go to their home, and they would gather whatever family members they wanted to be in the portrait,
Mhm. Mhm.
and we did a black and white, and then I had it fabricated onto tile.
Oh, neat.
So now we have all these stories of all these families that live in the
Yes.
neighborhood as part
Mhm.
of this, architectural
Mhm.
structure on what are
Mhm.
called standpipes,
Mhm.
and they're either circular or they're square,
Mhm.
and they deliver water to the landscapes, to the
Mhm.
yards, uh, in the various neighborhoods in
Mhm.
Tempe.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, that's so cool.
it's pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So it sounds like, I mean, the community aspect of it is really, I mean, a really integral part of your art. And you talked about joy, the joy of the community being involved. And I really think that your work, and I think the work of public art, is really about bringing joy to our built environment and joy and connection, community. These are aspects, like usually as architects, I mean, we do have, a sense of like the aesthetic and things like that. But I think, as an artist, you really tap into that softer side of
Mm,
what it is, and yeah, I really appreciate that because we need that like now more than ever.
mhm,
But just it's just like little interjections of joy that we get
mhm.
just going
Well,
about our daily lives,
mhm.
It's like, oh wow, look at that, that's so neat. It's so beautiful. It's just like, and oh wow,
Look at
that's
how
their
the colors
family.
reflect, or they remind you of something.
Yes. Yes.
Right. And
Yeah.
I think you bring up a really important point too, is that you can have um, a building,
Mm-hmm.
but if you think of examples of some of the more successful buildings, um, they are the ones that have an engaging quality or design aspect that brings the people in to the space
Mm-hmm.
and gives them a unique experience as they uh, enter the lobby, or they enter, right, the
Mm-hmm.
courtyard, or that there is even a courtyard created in the interior of the architecture, right? That
Mm-hmm.
is as important as the material architecture. Um,
Absolutely. Yeah, when you're what you're saying, it reminds me of like the Burton Bar Library, where when you walk in, it has like this uh kind of canopy of steel beams that come out. So it's kind of neat. And then when you walk in, there are these quotes on the sides that of different quotes. So, you
right.
stand there and it's kind of
Mhm.
cool. And then like so that's interactive. And then there's that pool of
The
water.
the water effect and the fact that it's
Yes.
a clear glass
Mhm.
elevator that you're
Yes.
experiencing, different
Yes.
elevations. So
Mm-hmm.
absolutely,
So
yeah.
experiential. So it really talks to what you're talking about with
The architect,
engaging. Hmm.
Zahad Hadid, I
Hmm.
think, um, uh, did a very beautiful design for the art museum in Cincinnati, Ohio,
Hmm.
and it began out on the sidewalk.
Oh,
Her design
wow.
was
Huh.
elements within the concrete sidewalk,
Wow.
and that's
Ah,
what pulled you into the building. And I
yes.
I
That's
was
beautiful.
just so
Uh-huh.
inspired by that idea of,
Yes.
you know,
Hmm.
how we bring people into a space. Um,
Absolutely. Yeah, and
is
that's like I think where
really
the overlap is really strong. It's like the art,
mhm,
it's art, it's architecture, it's a gray area between the two, which is kind of a really exciting place
mhm.
to explore and to play with. So, um, that's really good. Well, we're running out of time. And I have so many more questions for you, Joan. So this just means I have you back again
Well,
sometime.
I've enjoyed it. It went way too fast. Is there
Yes.
time for me to read a quote from one of my favorite books?
Yes.
Okay. So, I shared with you that, I became a follower of Alan Watts, the great
I love
Zen
him. Yes.
philosopher, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
And the book on the taboo against knowing who you really are.
Hmm. Hmm.
Here's the quote: "Through our eyes, the universe is perceiving itself. Through our ears, the universe is listening to its harmonies. We are the witnesses through which the universe becomes conscious of its glory, of its magnificence. It is an illusion that we are isolated beings, that we are unconnected to the rest of the universe. As a result, we treat that outside world poorly and disrespectfully. It is critical to understand the self, for we then see that we are rooted in nature and will find our grounding there."
Beautiful. Absolutely. I feel like your work embodies
Thank you.
that work.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, he was an important um, finding for me early on
Uh,
in my career, and I just
mhm,
I'm
mhm,
very grateful for his awarenesses, his writings, and so many others. But
mhm,
he
mhm,
he came to mind when
mhm.
uh, you invited me. So
Yeah. No, yeah,
thank you
he's
so much.
great. Um, yeah, well, Joan, it's been like just like having tea with you and just I wish we could just talk all day and
Well, I guess the one thing, since we weren't able to show any pictures,
mhm,
is the website is, of course, as most websites are always evolving and new things need to be added. But my website is loaded with images of projects. There's some videos. The Good Trouble Bucket video is there. Um, there are interviews there.
mhm. What is
So
your website?
it's just my name. It's joanbaron.com.
Okay, and I'll put that in the
Okay.
caption
Yeah, I think
so that people.
there are things people will enjoy.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm. Yeah, I highly recommend it.
Right.
I was taking a look at it earlier, and it's wonderful, and so much. You've done so many wonderful things. So it's a
Hopefully
great
more to come.
compilation. More to come,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
You're
we'll have to do another segment on historic restoration because you're so involved in
yes.
that, and I'm getting more involved in it.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yes. And yeah,
so,
I think that's a perfect extension of what you do.
mhm,
So it makes a lot of sense. But
yeah, it's
anyway, Joan, I just want to
wonderful.
say
Uh-huh.
thank you for being such an inspiration, um, just as a person and as an artist and as a creator. I really appreciate that.
Thank you, Taz. Thank you, and thank you
Yes.
for your commitment to the built environment. It's a better
Thank
place because of your vision.
thank you, Joan. I appreciate that.